This is Eric Sparks for OldFutures.com. Today we have a list of the 5 best space movies of the 1950s. The 1950s was really the first big decade of science fiction, and there were tons of great movies. For today I'm narrowing it to space movies, and I'm making the requirement that they have to spend a significant amount of their time in space, or at least on another planet. You know, movies like When Worlds Collide, I love the movie, but they don't even get into space until like the last 5 minutes. So that one doesn't count. Alright, on to the list. Number 5, George Powell's Conquest of Space. This was a really fun movie. The art direction was based off of some designs by Wernher von Braun. Looks really cool, some great special effects, some of the best of the entire decade. It was drugged down a little bit by this theme with the captain going a little crazy. He's got space fever and he starts doing weird quotations and gets these like strange religious ideas that God doesn't want us out in space. And to me, it just really drugged down the movie. There was enough excitement of just going on the first trip to Mars, and they really tried to take it seriously and look at it realistically. I don't think they needed the extra drama of that. But even besides that and some cliched characters, it's still a lot of fun, and I can highly recommend it. Really great movie. Number 4, This Island Earth. Really cool movie, great concept. It jumps around to it almost feels like a different kind of movie at certain points. It starts out this guy getting some random parts from this catalog, and he doesn't really know what they are, and he starts assembling them all. Doesn't even know where they're coming from. And he assembles them, and it becomes this communicator. So at first it's like this weird little mystery, and then he assembles this communicator and finds out that some secret organization is recruiting scientists, like the best scientists in the world, to work on some secret project. So all of a sudden it becomes almost this espionage type thing. So he goes to work for these scientists, and then suddenly things change. You find out they're aliens, and then they end up on this other planet in the midst of this huge apocalyptic war, and just totally changes. You know, from the first step to the second to the third, it's like keeps building into something bigger and bigger and bigger and cooler. Well, once you get to the third part where they leave the Earth, the special effects just blew me away. I was very, very impressed. For the time period, they were just fantastic. And really, really felt like a cool, epic ending. Okay, number 3. Rocket Ship XM. This movie was really inspired by the movie Destination Moon, which went into production first, and this other company thought, oh, we're going to make a space movie too. So they rushed Rocket Ship XM into production, made it black and white, not nearly as many special effects, so they actually ended up getting done first, and Rocket Ship XM made it into theaters first. So in that way, you could say that it was the first real rocket ship movie of the 1950s, even though it was inspired by Destination Moon, which came out later. Starred Lloyd Bridges. It was just a lot of fun. They start off for the moon. It's Rocket Ship XM, Expedition Moon. They start off for the moon. They encounter the normal 1950s things like meteors and just all kinds of stuff, and through miscalculation and other things, they end up going not to the moon, but they end up at Mars, which all of the Mars sequences are tinted red, and they look really cool, and they find this post-apocalyptic society, and, you know, it eventually becomes this really sobering message about nuclear war, and the ending is surprisingly grim, but it serves to get the message across even better. Number 2, I just mentioned it, Destination Moon. This was a big George Powell production, great special effects, not quite the first serious look at a trip to the moon, because that belongs to Woman in the Moon, 1929, by Fritz Lang. But for the 1950s, it was the first serious look at a trip to the moon. They really tried to take it seriously. Robert Heinlein was involved in the writing, and they thought about things like airlocks and weightlessness, and it just I can't really recommend it enough. It's just fantastic. I picked it up for like $5, and you just can't go wrong for that. Very, very cool movie. Now we're on to number one. To me, none of the other movies even come close to this one. This one is light years above the others. To me, there's not a question about what is the number one space movie of the 1950s. It's Forbidden Planet. This movie was based on a Shakespeare play, The Tempest, and it was made by MGM, and somehow, unlike the other movies of the decade, which were more like B movies, this was given a huge A-list budget, like one of their big musicals. And it really shows. The sets are amazing. The special effects weren't equaled the whole rest of the decade. Nothing else was even close. And Leslie Nielsen is in it. He stars, which surprised me because that was the first thing I'd ever seen him in that wasn't comedy. He's fantastic. Walter Pidgeon is Morbius, the Prospero character from The Tempest. And it just amazing. It's one of those movies you get to the end, you have to stop and think, now wait a minute, what just happened? They didn't dumb down the story. They didn't make it silly. They took it seriously for the time. And I think it really, really shows. To me, that is absolutely the number one space movie of the 1950s. Hope you enjoyed our list. If you disagree, that's fine. Leave comments. We can argue all you want. For OldFutures.com, I'm Eric Sparks.